Welcome back, gang. It's Delta here from DeltiaSgaming.com, and in this video we're doing something a little different. We're testing light versus heavy armor. What should you be wearing in PvP as a caster, and why? I'm going to break this down into 3 sections. Damage. 2. Regeneration. 3. Defenses. So if you're looking to make an educated choice on PvP caster armor sets, watch this video. Let's get started. Okay, so for this experiment and or testing, what we're going to be doing is using my Argonian Ebonheart Pact Templar. I have Tri-Stat Food on. I'm using 5-piece Kagernax. Now, each piece will be the exact same trait, whether they're heavy or not, with the exact same armor glyph. So on the big, large pieces like light, chest, and legs, I'll be using the Hajoko or Prismatic enchants. For the small pieces, I'll be using Magic with M-Pen or the Sturdy trait, so no effect on offense. I'm also using just a basic staff here with no weapon enchant or spell enchant. That way I don't proc it accidentally and get more damage and skew my results. Lastly, I'm just using a Vicious Death 3-piece, nothing fancy. So this is my basic setup what I'm using. Going into champion points here, I'm going to be doing this type of setup. So really what would skew the data, if anything, is the spell erosion at 27 points of 1600. And I'll explain why in the damage portion. 100 in the Element Expert, 20 into Elfborn, and a few in here in the Thaumaturge. We're going to be using just a simple jabs spam here, puncturing sweeps, which will proc primary damage over time effect, and burning light insta-crit as well. So we want to see what crits do, what non-crits do for damage, and just give you a baseline percentage of how much damage you gain or lose with light armor. Okay, I want to explain to you how you actually get more damage wearing light versus heavy. Light armor uniquely has 2 different 5 or more piece passes, meaning you have to wear 5 or more pieces, increasing your spell critical rating by 2191. Essentially, that's 10% spell critical that's added by wearing 5 or more pieces. Notice that you don't get any more of the effect the more pieces you wear, unlike medium armor. So people are constantly asking me, Deltia, should I wear 7 medium or 511? Really, in medium armor wearers, it benefits you to wear more medium because you get more critical than that 5-piece. Also, the light armor gets you increased spell penetration by 4884. You notice that there's no spell damage increase. There's no amplification of spell damage. So that's kind of a problem with the light armor users right now. But the spell penetration of 4884 is almost the equivalent of a sharpened Inferno Staff or something like that. That adds up to a big chunk of damage or focus rating. You can also further increase this effect using the champion points spell erosion. Either way, 10% spell critical and almost 5,000 penetration for your spell attacks. This patch added Wrath, which is now increasing your damage for 5 or more pieces of heavy armor. So you have to constantly be getting hit every 6 seconds once or more, and it can stack up to 10 times, and as long as you're getting hit, you're maintaining that spell damage. So really what we're trying to do is compare, does this spell damage compete with or outperform spell penetration and a little bit of spell critical? Now that's not going to show up over a few little sweeps. Over a long duration fight, it really will. But let's just see, does heavy really lack very far behind? Okay, so here's a really bad PowerPoint chart, but it shows 3 things I want you to keep in mind. Max sweeps or puncturing sweeps, average sweeps, and then max burning light. Puncturing sweeps the damage over time ability, while max burning light is a insta-proc. So what you're going to see here is it doesn't factor in critical, which is very important to light armor. It really gives it a big advantage. But if you're looking at just the max damage you can do, 5 light to 5 heavy, I actually outperformed one instance with 5 heavy with all race stacks. Now Gill's going to give you some insight in why these stats might be a little deceiving to you and how light armor benefits a full DPS build.
In terms of overall damage, light armor is going to provide a lot more. However, it should be noted that heavy armor's wrath bonus gives a flat gain, while light armor's penetration and crit bonus give a multiplicative. So if you're playing with a low damage build, then light armor isn't going to stack well with you, versus while heavy armor is going to give you a flat but noticeably larger gain.
Okay, so this is part 2, regeneration. Now, what we look at with light armor is evocation, reduced cost, like we talked about earlier, recovery. So something to know is that you get more recovery outside of combat. So we're going to have Gill hit me while we're doing this test here and show you exactly how many times I can cast Breath of Life. So on my restoration bar, without regeneration, repentance, giving me a little bit more magic recovery, I'm at 12, 6, 9. So with the reduced cost, Breath of Life costs 3, 3, 2, 6. So he's going to beat on me, just like give me light attacks, so put me in combat. Now I'm going to do Breath of Life until I run out of magic. Go, Ready? To 1101 recovery, but remember that's kind of different because heavy armor benefits getting resources back 930 in 5 only. You can actually put 2 more on and get about 1300, but you have to take damage. So ideally, in a PvP situation where you're constantly taking damage, this would add up. So let's do 2 different tests with this. 1, we're just going to Breath of Life statically without being damaged. 2, we're going to be Breath of Lifing while Gill hits me to proc Constitution. Strangely enough, you don't sacrifice a whole lot of regeneration and reduce costs wearing 5 heavy in comparison to 5 light. But just remember, you're going to have to play a lot differently. If you're going to run the 5 heavy healer or damage build, you're going to be needing to get into the fight, especially to proc that Constitution. If you're having that proc, you're constantly taking damage, you're not going to lag that far behind in comparison of light armor. Just know these results can change based on your max stats, champion points, and so forth. So we're going to test damage, and before we get to that, you have to understand what light and heavy armor adds to your defensives. So medium has a base reduction of both spell and physical, but light armor has something called spell warding. Increases your spell resistance for each piece of light armor by 18-15. So wearing 5 pieces of light armor, you're going to see a much greater resistance in comparison to casters versus stamina users. So when we test this, the results, keep in mind that you're not seeing a big defensive gain against a caster comparatively to light to heavy armor. Go to heavy armor here, we got resolve. Increase your physical resistance and spell resistance for each piece of armor equipped, which is similar to spell warding, but it does both. Also, this can stack with champion points in specific ways. So if we go to CP here, and we got light armor focus over here, and we have heavy armor focus here. So you have a lot of different ways to pump that up, including channel focus and different buffs and so on. My idea for how to use this in PvP effectively is I like the idea of a heavy armor Templar healer. Because you're going to get CC'd, you're going to get stunned, a lot of people are going to focus target you, and you're going to need that stamina to stay alive and active. You're also going to have to deal with Wrecking Blow spammers, Dawnbreakers, and so the extra physical resistance is really invaluable. Plus, you're affected by Batter Spirit, so you don't need a whole lot of damage, and you can make some of that up in the champion points, stacking full into Blessed, full into Elfborn, and even giving yourself a little more into quick recovery. That way, when you're getting focused, you can really have some monster self-heals.
Overall, both have advantages for each terms of play, PvE and PvP, but in PvE, light armor is the way to go if you're looking for damage, heavy armor is the way to go if you're looking for survivability.
I'm glad the game added a little bit of damage boost for heavy armor, and Constitution got amplified. I really think it's closer to being a balanced set now. So hopefully this information helped you. Special thanks to Gilly MacMillie for testing this and crunching the numbers. So let me know if you guys like this content and we'll do more of it. I know, but follow me. We can, if everyone has a meteor, we can jump on these reds and kill them. I guarantee it.
Yeah, on my bot.
3, 2, 1, meteor. Go, go, go.
Oh god, oh god.
Oh my god. Oh my god.